Today in our 2014 Jeep Wrangler Unlimited, we'll be having a look at and installing the Roadmaster Brake-Lite Relay Kit for towed vehicles, part number RM-88400. All right, with our key out of the ignition, when we step on the brake in our vehicle, simulating our towed vehicle braking system pressing down on the pedal, we don't have any brake lights in the vehicle right now, which is a good thing. Otherwise, if we didn't have this brake light relay installed, when our brake pedal was depressed, the brake lights in the vehicle would come on, potentially overriding the RV's turn signals, which would control our towed vehicle's turn signals as well when it's hooked up. When we put our key in the ignition and turn it on, we now have functional brake lights on our Jeep. So whenever we're ready to drive our Jeep normally, we don't have to worry about flipping any switches or unplugging anything. The relay takes care of it for us automatically, and we'll have normal brake lights as needed. When our vehicle's in tow mode and hooked up to the RV, all the functions for the tail lights and brake lights and turn signals will work off of the RV side. So we don't have to worry about the pedal causing our Jeep's brake lights to come on when it's depressed. Now that we've gone over the features, we'll show you how to get it installed. Okay, we're inside our vehicle now. We need to locate our brake light switch. The easiest way to do that would be to remove this panel underneath our steering column. Just grab it, pull back, and it comes out. All right, now behind that panel, we find another panel that's held in place with two 10mm bolts. We'll remove these. We'll grab the panel, pull up on it, and slide it out of the way. Now, with that panel removed, we can see our brake light switch, which is right here. Now we need to find which wire going into it is the cold side of our brake light switch, meaning there's no power flowing through it until the brake pedal is depressed. So we'll use a test light to determine this. I'm gonna probe this wire here, press on the brakes. Okay, so we've determined with the test light when we step on the brakes that the white wire with the brown tracer in it is the cold side of our brake light switch. So we'll disconnect our connector now so we have more room to work with it. So to get it out, you pry open the tab right here. There's two. There's one here and one here, and it releases the locks and then it pulls out. All right, here our wires clipped to the side of our dash. We'll just pop it loose to give us more room to work with. Right here, these green tabs, that's where we had to pry loose from the yellow side of the brake light switch in order for us to get it unplugged so we can bring it out here to work on it. Okay, now we'll cut our white and brown wire right here in the middle. Okay, now we'll strip back some insulation from both ends of the wire we just cut. We'll place on a blue butt connector that's provided with the kit onto each wire, and we'll crimp it down in place with our wire crimpers. Okay, our wiring harness that has the socket for our relay to plug into, we can take all of our wires here and fold them back, except for our blue wire. We'll take our wire cutters here and we'll cut off the blue wire. We don't need this wire for our particular application. You would be only using this wire if your vehicle had a push button start, but ours starts with a normal old-fashioned key, so we don't need to worry about having this wire. Now we'll take our green wire here, remove the piece of pre-stripped insulation, twist these together. Now I'll place this inside the butt connector that's closest to our connector here. And I'll crimp that down. And now we'll take our black wire, pull off the pre-stripped insulation again, and we'll place this inside our other butt connector right here. All right, at this point we can plug our relay into our relay socket. It'll only go in one way. As you see, we have two tabs that are horizontal matching each other. So we'll just line it up the proper direction and push it in until it's secure. All right, at this point, since we have all of our connections made to our connector for our stoplight switch, we can feed our relay and our connector back behind the dash and plug back in the stoplight switch. So we'll just line up the tabs on the connector and push it in until it clicks. Okay, our white wire coming from our relay harness is our ground wire. We'll take off the insulation here again, but this time, instead of a butt connector, we'll place on a ring terminal. And this ring terminal is provided in your kit. We need to attach this to a metal surface on the vehicle to ground it. Conveniently, right over here, we have a factory ground point behind this 10mm nut. So what we'll do is remove that nut. We'll slide our ring terminal over that stud and replace our 10mm nut. And we'll tighten that back down. All right, now our final wire coming from our Brake-Lite relay is the red wire. This will go into our fuse box underneath the hood, so our Brake-Lite switch only has power going to it when the vehicle's key is in the on position. So we'll attach a blue butt connector to it here, and now we'll crimp it on down. All right, now our kit comes with a length of red wire here, so we could install our fuse tap into our fuse box. This will be fine if our fuse box is underneath our dash, but this is too short for our application. So we have about 10 feet of 16 gauge wire, which is available on our website as part number 16-1-1. So we'll strip off some insulation here. Put it in the other end of our butt connector. And now we'll crimp it down. Okay, now we need to pass this wire through our firewall. We have a grommet that was put in our vehicle when the flat toe system was put on it. It's located behind our carpet here. So we'll undo this nut that holds our carpet in place. Peel the carpet back. And we'll find our grommet here. So we'll take our wire and we'll feed it through the hole in the firewall. Now we'll go underneath the hood now and we'll pull it through the rest of the way. Next, we routed our wire up along the firewall and secured it with zip ties to this existing wiring harness over to our passenger side where our battery and our fuse box is. There's two tabs here. We push in on them, lift up, it opens. Let's remove it all the way though by pulling back on it. We found a 10 amp fuse here that only has power when the ignition switch is turned on. And when we shut the ignition switch off, it loses power. So this is the fuse we're going to use to tap into. The fuse that we're using is number M33, as indicated on our diagram underneath our fuse box cover. This controls our traction control module, which is perfectly fine for us to use. Okay, we'll go ahead and pull that fuse out now. Now the fuse we just removed, we'll put in our new fuse tap here on the bottom closest to where the prongs are. This way the fuse that we removed will still control the original circuit that it was protecting. Since it's never had a fuse put in there before, it's a little stiff, so you gotta push pretty hard to get them in. Now I'll take another 10 amp fuse and put it here in the remaining spot, and this will provide fuse protection for our relay. Now we'll take our green wire over here and find out about how much we're going to need to make our connection. So right about here, we'll cut off the excess. Strip off some insulation. Take our fuse tap. Install the green wire in the butt connector. We'll crimp this down. You'll need to go this direction here with the fuses facing this way because the fuses otherwise hit this little ridge right there. Now we'll take some electrical tape and wrap up our butt connector here in the fuse box. Just because this is more exposed to the elements, we don't want to run the risk of any moisture getting in there. Okay, now We will need to make a slight notch here in our fuse box for our wire to pass through, so when we close the lid, it doesn't get crunched. So we'll just snip. Snip. Make sure the wire tucks down in here nicely, falls to that notch, and our lid closes. All right, now you want to secure your relay and all your wires up underneath your dash so they don't interfere with your pedals or your steering column or anything like that. So we did that. We secured it up to a wiring harness up here and made sure all of our wires will be hidden behind the dash. All right, now we'll make sure we resecure our carpet back into place. All right. Now we'll slide our metal panel back in place. Now we'll slide our dash panel back in place and push it back in. And that completes our look at and installation of the Roadmaster Brake-Lite Relay Kit for towed vehicles, part number RM-88400 on our 2014 Jeep Wrangler Unlimited.
Click the link below to shop, learn more, or visit us at etrailer.com.